Consistency. Everyone says we need to be more consistent, but no one talks about what to do when you are feeling tired, when you are unmotivated. Consistency isn't about just doing the same thing at the same time every single day. In this video, I want to share with you the mindset and the system that is required for you to be more consistent, not just on your most motivated best days. I used to fail at consistency all the time, and that's because I kept trying to set habits and goals that were way beyond my reach. If you can't lift 200 pounds at the gym, you wouldn't start at 200 pounds. You would probably start at maybe 5 or just your body weight. But for some reason, when we talk about habits and other things that we want to be consistent in life, we tend to go all in. We tend to put on too many things at the same time. If you're new here, my name is Linda, and welcome to my channel. Most people think that consistency is repetition over and over and over. But I want to bring to you a concept of sustainable consistency, which means that you need to adapt your efforts based on your circumstance that still aligns with your views and goals. We are humans, we are not robots, and you don't need the perfect streak. The biggest thing that no one talks about is the most important skill to be consistent is actually learning how to get back on track faster and faster each time, because you will get off track. There will be obstacles that will lead you to getting off track, which means, again, unpopular opinion, I really think it's the most important skill is learning how to get back on track when things change. How to get back on track after you go on vacation. How to get back on track after a week of really busy events. This is actually one of the most important things that you'll need to learn to be more consistent. Because no, it's not realistic for you to be doing this thing 365 days a year. And yes, I know there are videos out there with challenges saying, I ran 365 times a year. Awesome. But the bigger skill is actually knowing what to do when you're not motivated and how to get back on track so that you can still work towards the goals that you want in your life. Here is my 5-step framework on being more consistent in a sustainable way. Part 1 is figuring out 1 to 3. Yes, only 1 to 3, not 10. 1 to 3 things that you really would love to be part of your identity in the next year. Whether you want to be a person that moves more, you want to be a person that eats whole foods. You want to choose 1 to 3 things that aligns with your values and goals that you want to work on being more consistent with. Once you've come up with your, let's call it non-negotiables of things that you just want to do consistently as part of your life, then you want to figure out the bare minimum. So the bare minimum means anything that, regardless of what happens in life, you can do this thing and it's still working towards that goal. So for example, let's say you have some movement every day. When you're very motivated, have lots of energy, maybe you can do a 45-minute HIIT workout. But on days when you're so tired, maybe it just looks like 5 sit-ups or 5 push-ups or even 1-minute plank. The minimum thing that you will do to keep leaning towards your goals and your values, but knowing that it doesn't always have to look like a 45-minute HIIT workout. So step number 1, finding those non-negotiables and then figuring out the bare minimum that you will do on days that you are feeling completely exhausted. Step number 2, writing down some anchor habits outside of those things. So for example, let's say you don't even have energy to do 5 push-ups. Let's make it even smaller. You're going to do 5 deep breaths because this is the kind of day where you just don't feel like doing those push-ups, and your anchor habit is doing those deep breaths because your long-term goal is to be able to be more relaxed and move. So number 2 is really about being able to adjust to your moods, not just your energy. If you're feeling anxious that day and you know that increasing your heart rate or exercising might not make you feel better, let's do 5 really deep breaths instead. This is what I call flexibility. You have to be able to have multiple tools for the habits that you have. It can't just be fixed. We are flexible. We are adaptable. Which brings me to my next one, which is number 3, is how you talk to yourself. Now, this is the mindset part. Instead of saying things like, I should work out, I should go for a run, I should eat this, we want to reframe our goals and our habits to be more identity-based. What I mean by this is we want to say things like, I am a person that likes to move. I'm a person that loves to enjoy fresh fruits and vegetables. You want to move towards a language that incorporates your goals as part of your identity. I do this because that's the type of person I am. And as we start to develop that identity within us, then it's going to be easier for us to be consistent because we are just living who we are, right? So you're allowed to create that identity for yourself, whichever types of goals and values that you have. Number 4 is maintenance. Now, also another unpopular opinion, but maintenance is, I would say, more difficult than starting a habit because it actually takes effort. People don't realize that maintenance takes effort. If you were to never clean your home and you left for vacation for a month, you would come home and there would be dust that would be building. If you wanted to maintain your home, you would have to actually do something. There are seasons where we are learning a new thing, we're developing a new habit. And there are seasons where you can simply maintain, like cleaning to maintain your home. Maybe for you, you need to do a weekly reset to just double check that you're on track every week, whatever works for you, but some sort of way for you to check in that you're maintaining your goals and your habits. And finally, number 5, which I briefly talked about, is we need a plan on how to get back on track. So whether you go on vacation, you need to figure out what are you going to do to get back on track when you come back. Because in these moments of transition or anything that changes, that abrupts our life, we need a plan to get back on track with our routines. And if we don't have this, what happens is that slowly you might shift and lose track of what you originally wanted to do. The important part is to plan ahead and to foresee some of the setbacks that might come up rather than just showing up when it happens, which makes it way harder. So far in this video, we talked about the 5 tactics for consistency. Number 1 being identifying our non-negotiable habits and the bare minimums that we would want to do. Number 2 is creating those anchor habits for our different moods and seasons so that we have a variety of habits that we can choose from and not just one. Number 3, we talk about the importance of our self-talk. And instead of saying, I should do something, we want to create an identity around it on I am a type of person that does this. Number 4, we talked about how maintenance actually requires effort and we need to plan on how to maintain our habits. And number 5, we talked about how we need to plan ahead for setbacks. Now, if you've been struggling with consistency for a long time, I really want you to think deeply and ask yourself, what has worked in the past and why didn't work? And if you've never really been able to be consistent, ask yourself, why haven't I been able to be consistent? And am I still doing the same tactics every time I try to develop a new habit? And just to add to your mix of reflection here, I want you to think about which of your habits are built on shame and which of your habits are built on trust, okay? There is a big difference there. I worked with so many patients as a coach, and I just can't believe how many habits we create because of guilt and how many things we do because of guilt. You know, we might exercise because we feel like we've eaten too much. The truth is, for you to be consistent, first of all, it has to align with your values and it has to be something that you actually kind of enjoy. Like you might not enjoy it at first, but after a few months, it should be something that you slowly enjoy. If you continue to hate it forever, like with your soul, it's just not something that we will be able to sustain. Now, I just want to remind you that real consistency, it doesn't come from discipline or willpower. That is such a big mistake that we tell ourselves. And don't tell yourself that you're not consistent because you don't have the willpower. It is actually not your fault. It is the fault of the mindset and the system that you've put in place. We need to really dive deep and be honest with ourselves, give ourselves a little bit of self-compassion. Like we're allowed to fall off sometimes. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to not be perfect all the time. Social media gives us another image of people, but we all struggle with actually very similar things. And I'm not perfect, and you're not perfect, and that's okay. So I want you to start with where you're at and remember that doing less is sometimes doing more. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe to my channel, and comment below. What has worked for you when it comes to consistency? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next video. Bye!